Hello, everyone. Again, this is Antonio, and I'm coming at you with another exciting video. First of all, for those that don't know me or don't know anything about this channel, on this channel, we speak about stock, cryptocurrency, personal, and business credit. So now that that's out the way, let's talk about Lordstown Motors, or the ticker symbol is RIDE. A lot of people don't talk about Lordstown, I guess, because, Lordstown went through, I want to say they went through a fibbing stage at one point where they went in and they said that their stock was going to be at a certain level, and it was not true. So Lordstown Motors opened today at $2.25. The high was $2.37. 52-week low is $1.99, and the 52-week high is $18.50. Now, you might say, how a stock that was once upon a time so high, how did they get so low? And the reason why they got so low is because there was some fibbing going on. The fibbing, of course, came from the former CEO of Ride, where he came in and he talked about how they was going to start delivering cars in 2021. And we're going to go over to their website in just a second. And what is seeming like from their website, it really seems like it's going to be 2023. So the fib caused them some SEC headaches around, along the way. Now, this is the website. And now you see it says Endurance 2023. Now, this is a new banner because they were saying around quarter four 2022 that they were going to start delivering vehicles. So my question is, what is going on, right? The website has been updated, like I said, but you updating the website, but what is going on with the company? Are things going to change? And the reason why I say that is GM just took a huge loss. You wouldn't think that what they did recently, they basically divested all of the shares that they had into Ride. Remember, they put in $50 million into Lordstown Motors. When I say Ride, the ticker is Ride. So see, RID. So when people say, what is, why you keep saying Ride, I'm saying Ride because that's Lordstown Motors. Now, a lot of people have invested in Lordstown Motors, and the reason why I say is they have a market cap of almost $500 million. And this is where it's at when you think about from the aspect of that they were over, there was like at $600 billion 2 weeks ago or something like that. And the problem was going on is we're dealing with the highest inflation in 40 years. President Biden is thinking about regulating the cryptocurrencies. In addition to, the feds are thinking about raising the interest rates any day now, not next month, not month after that, any day now. So people, before they really start getting back into the market, they kind of want to know what's going on. And that's why Ride has close to $500 million market cap. So GM just took a loss. What's GM divestment of Lordstown Motors shares really mean? GM took a loss on his investment. Investment really about? So let's get down to the thick of it so we can have a full understanding of what was going on. News only just beginning to come out about GM selling the shares of Lordstown Motors, the floundering EV truck startup. However, even for GM's latest EV truck, the 2024 Chevrolet Silverado into view, the sale of GM 7.5 million shares of Lordstown, I'm saying Ride, but it's Lordstown, had already been completed. While some are focusing on the money GM lost in this misadventure, the reality is the investment was less about getting Lordstown Motors going and more about offloading the plant of a variety of reasons. It sounds weird, we know, but here's how it all worked out. Let's remember the plant that Rod um, end up in, and now Foxconn owns it. When they gave Rod $250 million, was a deal that was struck in play for Lordstown Motors when they had the money to purchase it. All right, so let's talk about the timeline and events. And let's just talk about what's really going on. We might not read all of this, but we got to get to the foundation where people did not know that GM had a stake into Lordstown Motors. Right. The story really begins around November of 2018 when GM announced that the production of several vehicles was coming to a close and a few of its plants were being unallocated. The one crucial to our history is Lordstown, Ohio plant, where the Chevrolet Cruze was produced for the U.S. At the time, there was a significant political pressure to keep the plant open. The good news for GM, however, was that around the same time, the company that would become Lordstown Motors, founded by Workhorse's ex-CEO Steve Burns, began to form a process that will continue into early 2019. The plan was to license an EV pickup truck platform developed by Workhorse called the W15. This platform, as used by Lordstown, would later become the Endurance. But first, it needed a plant to manufacture it. By the later 2019, Lordstown and GM will come to an agreement to transfer ownership of the Lordstown, Ohio plant to its namesake company. The agreement saw no significant funds exchange. All GM did was sign over the mortgage and help fund some of the operating costs and other expenses while Lordstown was busy raising money to get off the ground. In return, what GM gained was a positive press for selling the deallocated plant to an American startup rather than closing it entirely, as well as clearing its books of a large property that wasn't in use. All right, so let's keep going. This is by Motor Trend. If you want to know where this came from, about a year later, Lordstown Motors merged with the Special Purpose Acquisition Company, SPAC. SPAC raised money from other investors with the intention of merging with an existing company or a startup. This typically happens with startups more than other existing companies. The key here was that this SPAC was already a publicly traded company, which meant that Lordstown Motors went from privately owned to publicly traded overnight. As part of the initial public offering process, GM contributed $25 million in cash and $50 million in kind, which was over or a handover of the plant, its equipment, and GM's help with operational costs, and received 7.5 million shares in Lordstown. Finally, in the fourth quarter of 2021, GM sold its shares into the open market in a series of trades, ending their investment into Lordstown Motors. GM didn't make a fuss, nor did it release a statement when it happened. It didn't even make a filing of its divestment of its Lordstown shares because those 7.5 million shares only equated to 5% or less of a stake in Lordstown Motors. Occurred in the open market. As a result, sales were immaterial to GM's financial results. On or around March 1st, 2022, the Detroit Free Press asked about the status of GM investment after Lordstown reported their quarterly financial results. When it reported on the news, it was shocked as there was no hubbub or even a mention of it when GM released its fourth quarter report early in 2021. Now, this is a really good story. It really gives some insight of what's going on or what happened between GM and Lordstown Motors. It talks about the reverse spat. It talks about so much that I love it, right? This is really the truth here. We're finding out the truth. Lordstown, in the meanwhile, has struggled mightily, unable to produce its endurance pickup itself at the Lordstown plant. It cut a deal with Taiwanese manufacturer Foxconn to buy the plant, with Foxconn stepping in to provide contract manufacturing. What this means for Lordstown viability is anyone's guess, as Foxconn infamously upended a deal and had to build a large electronics plant in Wisconsin. What was Lordstown to GM anyways? I might not read all of this, but let's get into it. It seems clear that GM's Lordstown investment was more about getting rid of a problem rather than investing in the hope of getting a return. While the loss GM took seems large, in reality, it represents just a small portion of Lordstown Motors' overall shares. To put the size of GM's investment into perspective, Ford's $1.2 billion stake in Rivian, when it did own the shares, was only a 12% ownership of rival EV pickup company. GM only invested 75 million, again 25 million in cash, 50 million towards the mortgage and operational costs of the plant. In exchange for 7.5 million in shares of Lordstown Motors just to get rid of an unused plant. As Jim Kane, executive director, finance, sales, and corporate development communications at GM stated, we invested in Lordstown Motors to help them complete the purchase of our former assembly plant and return it to the vehicle production. We sold our small stake in the company in the fourth quarter of 2021, and the sale of the plant arguably allowed GM to relieve itself of some political pressure after the closure of Lordstown plant in 2019. With new owners and GM's help, the idea was jobs would come back into Ohio. How it all played out was mostly out of GM's hands, and what was out of the company's hands was ownership of problems that Lordstown Motors encountered. Okay, so we coming to a close soon on this. GM was getting out while the getting was good. While GM investment value on this sale, as shares of Lordstown Motors have dropped since GM acquired those shares, the automaker still received a non-zero amount in selling its small stake and offloading a huge car plant. It also was able to leverage optics of bringing jobs back to a plant that had otherwise closed. GM small stake, as its relatively tiny cash outlay as part of his Lordstown arrangement, wasn't overly exposed. Despite the losses and the troubles encountered by Lordstown Motors in the deal's wake, GM seems to have made out all right. So now we get an understanding of why GM offloaded all of these shares and what it meant for the company of Ride itself. Now, my question is, when we get back over here and we look at Ride itself, do you think that Ride, I'm invested in Ride. I'm definitely down on this stock. But my question is, do you think that, this is a good investment? You see the reasons why GM dropped them, but as a company, do you see that this is a good investment? For me, I feel that I'm in this on the long haul. I feel that I'm in it from the long haul, and I know some people, they want their money now, so I invested a while ago. I'm upside down on my shares, but I definitely feel that we can be in position to take this company further. But like I said, when you look at the company, it's definitely letting you know that the endurance may not be out until 2023. You see it right here. That is 2 years after they said that the company was going to get themselves out. So me going through what I'm going through with Centro, Lucid, and other EV startups, my question is this a good thing to invest in? So I don't, I'm invested. I'm going to be invested. I think I'm going to double down eventually into stocks like this, but this is not financial advice. Just to let you know, if you do that, you will be in on these plays for some time. It would not be an in and out type play because it's got a long hill to climb to get back to a 52-week high at $18.50 with no trucks on the road. No cars on the road until 2023, so it will be a long-term investment. So possibly keep that in mind. So this is Antonio with Team Tiggio. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you next time. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. This has been fun.